of this week, we just sang it, is worthy. What we see as worthy reveals what we want. And what we want most, we will ultimately worship. Worship is when we give all of our affection, all of our attention, and all of our actions towards something or someone. Where is your affection? Where is your attention? Where do your actions draw you towards? And I promise you, Jesus is God, and therefore only Jesus is worthy of our worship, because only God can satisfy our worship. Why? Why is Jesus above anybody else worthy of our worship? Foundationally, the answer to that question is because Jesus is God, and only God is worthy of our worship because only God satisfies the longings in our souls. And so if you have your Bibles tonight, I want you to open it up to the Gospel of John, chapter 1. John writes, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." He's referring to Jesus. The Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was there at the very beginning, at creation. This is a core Christian belief known as the Trinity, that we worship one God existing in three distinct persons. Jesus is God with skin on. He's the God who created you. He made you. He loves you. He's the God who came to earth to die on the cross for you, raised to new life for you. Jesus is worthy of your worship, all of your affection, all of your heart, all of your attention, what you gaze at in your mind, all the days of your life, and all of your actions, how you structure and live your life. He's worthy of it. Anything else that you give your worship to that isn't God is called idolatry. And God speaks very clearly about idolatry in Exodus chapter 20, verse 3, when he says, "You shall have no other gods before me." So in other words, don't worship something that isn't God like it is God. God is not, he's not putting this before you because he's just arbitrarily making up some rule and he just wants to make your life hard. No, the reason that God says things like, "You shall not idolize anything else, you shall not have other gods before me," is because idolatry hurts us. It leaves us empty. Anytime you make a good thing a God thing, it becomes a bad thing for you because it can never deliver what you thought it was gonna deliver. It can't sustain the worth that you're putting into it. So what Jesus has done by coming in the flesh is he said, "Hey, I am your God. You are my people, and I promise if you trust me, if you give all of your life to me, you will find that it is only I who can sustain all of your affection, all of your attention, and all of your actions." We've got to trust that Jesus is worth everything. He's worth it all. The only reason we can approach Jesus in worship is because Jesus approached us in sin. John goes further and he writes this, "The Word became flesh," verse 14, "and dwelt among us. And we have seen his glory, glory as of the only Son from the Father, full of grace and truth." So Jesus stepped out of heaven to reveal truth to you and I and to show grace to you and I. You know what grace is? It's unmerited favor. It is the very fact that we don't deserve to approach a holy God in worship, that he decides to give us grace to then invite us to trust in his life and death and resurrection. And out of that changed heart that he gives us when we do that, then we get the privilege of showing up to something like this and saying, raising my hands and saying, "Jesus, you're worth it. You're worth everything."